Welcome to Fox Valley Today. I'm your host, Anne Vickery. Joining me today for our program is part of the cast that is going to be performing at the Indian Valley Theater, through the Indian Valley Theater at the Sandwich Opera House, 2 weekends in March. Joining me on my right is Autumn Burns, who is playing the part of Ethel Thayer from On Golden Pond. And to her right is Morgan Miller, who is playing the part of Billy, who is going to possibly be the stepdaughter, right, of Chelsea. And this all kind of, and I think most everybody probably in our listening audience has probably seen On Golden Pond, which was actually made probably 30 years ago, wasn't it?
I think it was the early 80s. I want to say 1983 for some reason.
Yeah, so it's been a while, 35 years anyway.
It's a long time, yeah.
And it was a Oscar-nominated show, wasn't it? Did it win the Oscar for that? Do you remember?
I don't think it won the Oscar for Best Picture, but I think Henry Fonda may have won for Best Actor, possibly. I'd have to look that up again and see.
So you guys have been in rehearsal now for how many weeks?
Ooh, we started in January.
Yeah.
Yeah, and try to bring that all together.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question, Autumn. How many people in this cast?
There are 6 of us in the cast.
Kind of a small group, which would be the part that Henry Fonda played, which would be Norman Thayer.
That's played by Scott Purdy.
Scott Purdy, and the part that Katharine Hepburn played as Ethel Thayer.
Right, that's me.
That would be you. And then who was playing the part of Chelsea, who was the daughter of Ethel and Norman?
That's being played by Heidi Swarthout.
Okay.
And then she's got Morgan, who's playing Billy, the young person in the play. And then there's John Witt, who plays Bill Ray, which is Billy's father. And then we have Bill Griffith, who plays Charlie the mailman.
Okay, Charlie the mailman, that's right. I forget, he had kind of a small part, but he was kind of an impact there too.
Yeah.
So I want to move over to you, Morgan. You're kind of a young one here. How old are you?
13.
13. And as we were talking off camera, you've had a lot of theater exposure.
Yeah.
You started out very young. Tell us a little bit about your background.
Well, I did my first show when I was 5 or 6 years old, and I had a really small part, but I was pretty little, and then I just kept doing more and more of it up till now.
So the first time you were ever on stage, did they have to like push out there?
I was pretty shy when I first started, and I think that's why I had a pretty small part, just because we were just doing it to maybe make me a little bit more outgoing, but then I started enjoying it more and more as.
And this, what did you tell me? This is maybe 15th
15th
production that you've been involved in.
Yeah.
That's kind of exciting. And this is you're kind of coming from a long ways away. You're from up around Elburn.
Yeah.
And Autumn, you're from Batavia.
Geneva.
Geneva.
Yes.
Oh, well. Batavia, Geneva, St. Charles. You're all really one. You all meld together.
We're tight there, yeah.
Yeah, you are. Now, have you been with Indian Valley Theater quite a while?
No, actually, this is my first production with IVT.
And what made you get involved in this production?
It's funny, as you get involved with more and more theater, other people see you, and if they feel like you might have a place, they'll ask you to audition. I actually received an email asking if I would be willing to audition for the role, and so I looked at it, and of course I knew the movie, and yes, I wanted to do that.
Like a casting call through email, huh?
Kind of. You don't know that it's a given, but you know it's a fun opportunity.
So those of our listeners or viewers who may have kind of forgot what the whole plot is about for On Golden Pond, why don't you kind of update them?
Okay, well, it's basically a love story between Norman and Ethel Thayer. They have spent, this will be their 48th year on Golden Pond, their 48th summer together there. They're an older couple. They have one daughter, Chelsea, who has had a very tumultuous relationship with her father through the years. She's always tried to please him in a way. He has this gruff personality, and she has tried really hard and I think gone about it the wrong way. And then there's Ethel, who tries to soothe that. She knows Norman has this tender heart. It's not always easy to see, but she tries to help Chelsea realize that. And Chelsea's struggled with other things in her life over the years too. So this particular summer, she's bringing her new boyfriend, Bill Ray, who is a dentist, to visit for her father's 80th birthday, and bringing along Billy, Bill's daughter to meet the parents.
Uh-huh.
And things happen as Billy gets a chance to spend some time with Norman and Ethel.
Uh-huh. And there is a part in there where Ethel and Billy kind of bond.
It's more of a bonding with Norman and Billy, to be
Uh-huh.
honest.
Yeah.
And it's a chance for Norman to sort of recover some of the loss.
The redo for the daughter.
Exactly.
With the daughter, yeah.
Exactly.
Because there's a scene out on the fishing, you're fishing with him, aren't you? Maybe if you didn't, yeah, well, I'm thinking of the movie. Obviously, you're not going to be on a boat on the theater, but yeah, and it is a sweet movie, and I think probably what it brings forward to a lot of people who watch that is their own relationships and their families. You know, as we were kind of talking off camera, you know, as parents, your kid is always your kid.
Yeah.
You know, they make mistakes and you still want to jump in and either save them or just give them the dickens, because that's what you do as parents.
That's what you do.
So, and what do you think is, why do you think you've enjoyed this particular part?
So far, it's given me a range of emotions to run through and play over the course of the scenes. And Ethel's character she's very vivacious for her age. She's very energetic, and she's happy, and has a sparky personality. But you see her have these moments with Norman, and you see her have these moments with Chelsea, and you see her have these moments with Billy, and she runs through a wide range of emotions that can be challenging to draw up and be convincing on stage for people to feel that too.
Do you?
So I've enjoyed learning a lot about
Of
that.
Learning about, well, and you learn something about yourself.
You do.
When you draw that up. So tell me this, Morgan, what have you enjoyed a lot about this part? What do you think about this character you're playing?
Billy's definitely a funny, kind of sassy kid, so that's been really fun to play just because she's got a lot of sass in her, and so it's fun to be able to do that.
So you kind of, and how do you hit it off with Norman?
Well, when I first come, he's kind of asked me a lot of questions, and I really don't want to be there at first, and so I'm kind of standoffish, and I say crazy things that just to make him almost embarrassed for me, because I just am saying crazy things, and so, but then we become, we bond more afterwards, even if we might not be the best of friends in the beginning.
Isn't there a scene in there too where somebody goes off the pier, falls off the pier, or jumps in the water, or I think that's the Jane Fonda part, right?
There's a lot of that in the movie that's not in the play.
Right.
It's interesting how different those two
I guess that's
are.
what I'm trying to put in my head, because there's a lot of, in the actual movie, there's a lot of scenes out by the water, on the pier, in the boat, you know. Of course, a lot of it takes place on the kind of the deck or the back porch where they're kind of sitting there looking out onto the water.
Right. We have a lot of scenes where we do look out onto the water. We talk about the loons. That's one of Ethel's favorites, the loons, and hearing the loons and how they call for the rain. But most of the boating and fishing is something that's talked about more so than seen in the play.
Right. And so who else is, what other people are in this play? Anybody local?
Well, let's see. You're Elburn. I'm Geneva. Scott is from St. Charles. Heidi's from Oswego. Bill is from Plainfield, and John is from Naperville. So we are spread out quite a bit.
But you're also a very small group.
We are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, this is not a musical.
No.
We're on a lot of times when we have people on who are in the musical, they talk about spending a lot of time with their earbuds, listening to the music, getting,
There's a song in the show.
There is.
There's a camp song I get to sing. I get to sing a solo, and then I get to sing it with Heidi.
Is it Kumbaya?
No, it's Camp Kuchikaya.
Well, that sounds like kind of fun. Okay, so this is the Indian Valley Theater. It's going to take place at the Sandwich Opera House.
Yes.
Tell us when and about what times.
The first 2 weekends of March, so that's March 2nd, 3rd, and 4th.
Okay.
The Friday and Saturday shows are at 7 p.m. The Sunday shows, those are matinees at 2 p.m.
Okay.
And then the following weekend, the 9th, the 10th, and the 11th.
Okay, and then, it's kind of funny because when you guys are going through rehearsal, you have the one weekend before, don't you, where you just do a dress rehearsal and you try to work out all the issues. About how long does this whole thing last?
We haven't actually run the show completely all the way through yet from start to finish, so I don't really have a good feel for that just yet, but that tech week you're referring to, that's when we tweak all of our sound and all of our lighting and all of our costumes and all of our props, and so that's a pretty intense week, and it's like we run the show every single day for a solid 7 days before we open.
Okay. Now, would you say that this is the longest script that you've ever had to learn?
This is by far the longest script I've ever had to learn. I actually counted my lines.
And how many lines do you have?
405.
405. How about you,
I don't think I have as many as that, but it's still a pretty big part that I have to memorize, so it's probably a big script.
And Morgan's already off book, so she is showing the adults how to do it.
Well, let's face it. She's 13. Her brain is still, firing all over like
She's
that.
a rock star.
Yeah, that's pretty good. When you're rehearsing at home, do you have somebody else reading the opposite lines? Are you?
I don't right now. I'll get to that point probably this week, especially. For me, I record our first read through so I can hear everyone's voices reading their lines, and then I listen to that over and over and over and over, and then sometimes I'll write out certain lines that I'm having trouble with, and that helps me remember.
Just to kind of go through it. Do you have somebody in the background that's kind of always following along in the script, kind of prompting if somebody needs some help? Does that actually happen very often?
Well, not on stage when we're doing the show. We're on our own, so if somebody misses something, we've got to keep it moving.
Yeah, somebody has to pick it up and kind of throw out the next cue.
But right now, as we're rehearsing, Jen is following along with us in book, and so she helps us if we get stuck and we call for a line, and she prompts us, and then we can continue.
Have you ever on stage had a blackout moment?
I have.
Where it just isn't there.
You freeze.
Yeah.
And somebody, thankfully, usually picks up. And I've also had to pick up for someone who's frozen before, and that's the beauty of it. We can play off each other, and if everyone knows the script well enough, you can continue.
Yeah. Now, of all the productions that you've been in, Morgan, what do you think so far, up until this one? Because we don't know about this one yet. You haven't got there yet. What do you think has been your favorite one that you've ever been in?
Probably, it was a couple years ago. I did Junie B. Jones at Steel Beam, and I was Junie B. Jones. That was a lot of fun. That was a musical, actually. That was a lot of fun for that show because she's a very spunky character. So that was fun to do.
Right. And do you take voice lessons or play a musical instrument?
I do. I take voice lessons, so I also sing for musicals.
And you know what? That's all so important. I mean,
She was so helpful when we were learning that camp song. If it hadn't been for Morgan sort of directing us a little bit with her voice, I'm not sure I would have gotten some of the notes.
Right, because you're singing a cappella, right?
I actually don't sing it in the show.
Oh, you don't? Oh.
No, I was just helping them learn it.
But I do sing it a cappella in the show. So she was very helpful learning.
Yeah. Well,
learning that part.
And I think that's fun to have kind of that, that range of ages that are in that. You're going to have older people, younger people, and then really young people. And the lady or the gal who's playing Chelsea, do you have much of an idea about her background in theater?
She's done quite a bit of theater. I think she's done some things at Steel Beam in St. Charles, some things at Albright. She has an extensive list of plays and shows that she's been in. She's very talented. Actually, this whole cast is very talented. For me, I feel like a newbie with all of this, and they've all taught me something, and it's very encouraging.
Why do you think you got the email to come in and try out for the part of Ethel?
I'm not sure. I don't know, and I'm not real sure how that came about. So when I got the email, I thought, okay, it's another chance. Let's just try it. And really, the auditioning part's a learning experience too. And I've gone through plenty of auditions.
Tell us about what an audition is like when you're going through local theater like this.
You go in and a lot of times it's a cold read from the script, so you have no idea what scene they're going to give you and what you're going to be reading. So you are put on stage with other people who are also doing a cold reading, and you just see how it sort of flows. A director, to me, what they're seeing, I'm not quite sure, but it's interesting how they can piece it all together that early on, just from a cold read.
Now, who's directing this?
Matt Johnson.
And Matt's got a lot of good experience with that. Yeah, Matt's been with the Sandwich Opera House and all different theater productions. And I think he also works out of the theater thing in Morris, doesn't he?
I think you're right.
Yeah. Matt and Christine Johnson have been very, very involved in all of that, and have really, in many ways, held that stuff together.
Yeah,
because
he's been a great director so far.
Yeah.
I've learned something new from every director I've worked under, and I've learned quite a bit from him already.
Now, Christine, she is playing. She's not in it, but she's a stage manager.
She's stage
right?
manager, right?
They're both local people. They're from Newark.
Yes.
So that's really
Yes.
really good. I've got to check my time here a little bit. This is Matt's. I mean, Matt's directed probably 30 or 40 of these.
Oh, I
hasn't
wish I could answer that.
he? Yeah.
I'm sure, probably.
Yeah, and he's played an integral part as far as being on the stage too with different productions.
Yes.
So you've got some good leaders there.
Strong.
Yeah, and so there he's the producer. Who's doing the director?
He is the director.
Oh, he's the director.
He's our director, and then our producer. You'll have to forgive me because I am the newbie and I don't know everyone's
you
names.
Don't know everybody. Yeah, that's all right. Well, I think if you got Matt and Christine there, you're in probably pretty good hands there.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to take a little bit of a break, and we're going to come back with Jen, who is playing an integral part in this whole
She's
production
assistant
too.
stage manager, and she also plays the voice of the operator in the show.
Okay, yeah, that should be a lot of fun too. So we'll be right back, and we'll be here with Jen Ketchum, and we're talking about the theater production that's going to be held the first 2 weeks of March at the Sandwich Opera House, the Indian Valley Theater production of On Golden Pond. Then that's going to be a Friday night at 7:30.
Friday night at 7:30, Saturday night at 7:30, and Sunday at 2 p.m.
Yes, 2 weekends in a row. So stick with us. We'll be right back.
So, I just moved in with this family, and it's embarrassing. The little one, he likes to go outside and crawl around in the giant litter box. I don't know what he's doing. I mean, I was born and I knew how to use the litter box. Look at that. That's disgusting. Oh, poop already. You're making me nervous. Oh, okay, I can't look at this anymore. I really hope he grows out of this, for his sake.
We'd do anything for kids. Yet 1 in 6 children in the U.S. struggle with hunger. Help end childhood hunger near you. Learn how at feedingamerica.org.
Your son wants to get a cat, but you're allergic. Do you A, prepare yourself, B, make the best of it,
C squared equals
25.
Good job!
or C, find a loophole? When it comes to parenting, there are no perfect answers, but that's okay, because you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Teens in foster care will love you just the same.
Welcome back to Fox Valley Today. I'm your host, Anne Vickery. Joining me for the second half of the program is Jan Ketchum. Jan's a local gal. You're from right here in the Sandwich Plano area, right?
Yes, I live in Sandwich.
And you are the assistant stage manager, plus you also have a part in the play.
Yes, I play the part of the operator. It is an
Okay.
off-stage role, so I don't have to memorize lines,
Yes,
which
you can
is
just
which is
sit
great.
back there and read them.
For once, I don't have to. Yes.
That's kind of fun. How many different productions have you been in?
I've been with IVT since last January, so about a year.
Uh-huh.
And that was my first the first play that I've been in since high school. So,
Really? And
yeah.
what made you decide to go out and do this?
It's just something I've always wanted to do in my life, and just thought, why not? I'm not getting any younger.
Well, yeah, and the fact that you're right there.
Exactly.
And I think, different times I've thought to myself, I'd love to give that a try, but,
Yeah.
I'm kind of like with, Morgan, I'm 30 miles away. That's quite a hike
Right.
to try to dedicate. And you know what, if you don't have people who are really dedicated and can make it, that doesn't work either. So
Right, and it's local, and it's
Right.
good to get involved with the community and be
is.
involved and meet new
It is.
people.
Maybe
so.
I'll have to move to Sandwich, I don't know. We'll have
We
to
would
see.
love to have you. Yeah,
Maybe not.
But then I was in the first production of Don't Hug Me last February, and then I did play Molly Brown in Unsinkable Molly Brown this
You
summer.
did play Molly
I did.
Brown.
I was Molly Brown this summer,
Uh-huh.
and then
and so you had a lot of singing parts.
I did, yeah.
And are you a singer?
Yes.
Naturally you are.
Yes,
Huh?
yes.
Oh, really?
And then I was in the Minnesota show at
Uh-huh.
Christmas. so.
Mostly Minnesota. Yeah,
Yes.
that was fun.
Which was
Brad
a fun
Shortridge,
show.
he was over.
Yes,
for
and
that.
he's the producer for this show.
Uh-huh.
And Matt Johnson was involved in that too, and he's the director for
Right.
this one.
Now, this is your last production of the season for Indian Valley Theater, right?
Yes, for the 2017 season, this
season.
is the last show in the season, and then the new season will be announced at the start of this production. So if you
Okay.
come to the show, you will see the new shows for next season.
And how many shows does that involve? Is that
I believe it's 5.
5?
Yes.
And they, you just leave one and you pick up right on the next one. You just keep it going.
Yeah.
And, it just takes a lot. People who are involved in that, and that takes a tremendous amount of dedication. One of the things I've been interested in for you folks is you guys have a program over there called the Mimi Bryan Scholarship. I worked with Mimi for years. I was on the county board for Kendall County. She was our administrative assistant, and Mimi was such a wonderful person and always so involved. How is that scholarship program working?
As far as I know, I don't know all the fine details of it. I know that it is available now for a high school student that would like to apply for it. So it's going on now. They should go on the website, IndianValleyTheater.com, and
Right.
they can apply online if they're interested in getting that. So it's a great opportunity.
Yeah, it is. And Mimi was, I'll tell you what, she did some directing on those things, didn't she? Well, and I know you're kind of new to it.
Yes,
but,
I am very new.
She's had a way of directing the county board too to behave sometimes too. So that was kind of fun. So now we talked a little bit about the director, Matt Johnson, and then what about the producer?
That's Brad Shortridge.
That's going to be Brad.
Yes.
And what exactly does a producer do?
The producer makes sure that everything runs smoothly. They do a lot of the promotional materials. He should be here today. He couldn't make it today, and
Right.
same with Matt. So that's why I'm filling in for both of them today. They just make sure that everything is running correctly with getting the show out, and
Yeah.
so.
So this is how many different productions you participated in?
I've been in 3.
Okay.
This will be my 4th, and I'm not going to be on stage, but I'm helping in a different way this time. So.
Well, I think it's important if you're going to continue on that you kind of learn how all the moving pieces work, right?
Exactly, yes. And that's why I'm very excited to do something different this time and meet a new cast who is very talented and they're amazing. I mean, I'm going to learn from all of them, so I'm excited.
So tell us a little bit more about what's going on over at Indian Valley. I mean, is there anything else that the public would like to be a part of? Is there opportunities to donate or?
Well, yeah, of course there is. They are looking for any business or if anyone wants to just put an ad into the season. The 5 shows that will be coming, there's advertisements in there, and you can pay to put an ad, and your ad will be in for every single show for the
Okay.
next season.
As a-
And you can go on the website, or you can email at info@IndianValleyTheater.com to get more info on that.
About how much do the ads cost, you know?
I believe if you want to get just a real small one, I believe they start at $25, but
Yeah.
if you want to get a full page, it's like $300.
Yeah, and people don't realize that it costs money to keep that stuff going. I mean,
Yes.
you have to pay royalties for the script.
Yes.
Costumes are always an issue. and you sometimes have to rent. Now, in this show, you probably don't have to rent a lot of costumes.
No.
Yeah, I mean, you don't just go over to the thrift shop, find some stuff from the 80s or some old fishing hats and fishing gear, right?
Yes, which a lot of the past shows that I've been in, that's what we've done is a lot is I've brought our own stuff in and thrift stores and
right,
exactly, and it's all volunteer. I mean, the entire organization is volunteer, so we all come together and put it together and we have fun.
And the tickets, $15 if you buy it in advance.
Yes, online.
$18 at the door.
Yes.
But you know, when you think about an evening of entertainment, I mean, you know, you don't have to go out and have a $200 meal. There's lots of nice little places, especially on a Friday night. You can go to the Moose and have fish for $5.50.
Yes.
And go over and see that production, and for $20 a person, you've had a wonderful night.
Exactly, and it's a great date night for, you know, a couple, or, you know, I've, you know, brought my son to some of the opera house shows, and, you know, he really enjoys it. So yeah.
Do you see a lot of other theater passes? Do you go downtown?
Yes, I do. Yes.
And what do you think has been your most favorite production in Chicago? Is there any particular one?
I love all of them, and I go to the Paramount in Aurora too, which is great. But the last show I saw in Chicago was Beautiful, the Carole King musical, which was phenomenal.
Okay, yeah, and I mean, I could go back for years of the productions. I haven't seen anything lately. Did you see Hamilton?
No, I did not.
No, and you know, that's, you know, I don't care how much they talk about that. People who've seen it have really come back with mixed reviews.
Yeah, no.
Some of them are saying they love it, and others are saying, oh, that was $175 that I threw out the window.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's get back to this production on Golden Pond, and the two weekends, March 2nd.
Yes, March 2nd and 3rd at 7:30, and then that would be the 5th.
Right, the 2nd, the 3rd,
3rd and 4th at 2
right.
o'clock, and then the next weekend, which would be the 10th and the 11th, at 7:30, and then the 12th at 2. Now, this is the first weekend they're doing 2 weekends. They've never done that before. So.
Well, you know, so what made you kind of step out to want to do that?
They're trying something different to see how it goes. A lot of shows that I've been in, a lot of people say they wish that we did 2 weekends. So
right.
Exactly. So I think this is great to do this, and I know Morris does the 2 weekend shows too. So, and they're very successful with it. So I think it's a great shot. So
yeah, it is.
So we want to get people out there.
I just heard, you know, they just finished doing Peter Pan Jr. over there.
Yes.
And I heard such rave reviews about that how great those kids were.
They were awesome.
You know, did you see it?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
And you know, another thing, when you do a children's program like that, they'll bring the schools in the day and do a couple of daytime presentations for that too.
There's a theater workshop for children this summer that's going to be coming up, and if you want info on that, you can email at workshop@indianvalleytheater.com.
Right.
So
again, that's something that's really very important, especially, and I think, you know, Morgan gave a good explanation. I was so shy, and it really brought me out, and look at me now.
Yeah.
You know, and
I was the same way.
Well, maybe, you know, someday when she's, you know, another 15 years older, she'll probably be picking up this on YouTube and Jimmy Kimmel, if he's still around. We don't.
You never know. Let's hope.
We don't know about that either.
Let's
Right.
hope.
We'll have a lot of fun. Well, I think the thing that I enjoyed the most about in interviewing people like you and the other two that were here is that you have a lot of enthusiasm and inspiration to want to keep going, and you do it for nothing, and you do it for fun.
Yes.
And it takes a lot of time.
And IVT is like a family,
It
it's a great organization to get involved in.
Well, thanks, Jen. And if you folks get a chance, get out to see on Golden Pond March 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, and then again March 9th, 10th, and the 11th. 2 7:30 programs and a 2 o'clock performance on the Sundays. Thanks for joining Fox Valley today. We'll see you next time.